Hey everyone, Paul Graff here with Remax Elite Brokers in Snohomish, Washington. Welcome to Sound Moves, the podcast about real estate in the Puget Sound region or sound advice for your life. This is my video series where I'm going to interview a real estate agent referral partner around the country. And today I get to introduce you to Elizabeth Hardwick. Elizabeth and I originally met through Remax, the R4 convention in Las Vegas a couple years ago. And Elizabeth and I actually got started in real estate around the same time. So she's been in business 9 years too. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you give us a brief background as to who you are, where you grew up, what other kind of jobs you've had, and a bit about your family.
Okay, well, I grew up kind of Central Valley in California, and I was definitely a California girl. Not the fun California where everybody thinks of California as something poppin'. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I mean nowhere. Small town. There was 72 people. We had the largest graduating class ever.
Wow.
And it definitely shaped me into being a hustler. You know, the kind of girl that's gonna go climb fences and clean toilets and do whatever needed to be done. I kind of learned about probate and different things because my mom had some funny stories with her own house. She lost the deed to her house. And I was like,
wow.
What? So when we went to sell her house years later, I was like, why are you having to buy extra title policy? And that's where I learned some good real estate facts. Like, what?
Life is a good teacher, isn't it?
You pay off your house and don't have proof of it. That's horrible. So learned some good real estate facts over the years. I married my husband, Jeff, for 19. Nobody thought that was going to work, but here we are 28 years later. We've got 3 boys, 22, 23, 24. The 24-year-old just got married. Whew.
Yeah.
5. They're great kids. They're great humans.
Excellent.
Pretty much all you can ask for as a mom. And they're all dating and happily surviving.
Nice. Nice.
And so that's going well for me.
That's tough for a mom.
Yeah, and so we moved out into Texas 9 years ago, and before we moved to Texas, I took all my real estate exams. I'd been doing medical sales for years, and I knew I really, really, really wanted to do real estate, but I didn't have time. My kids were younger, and I knew in order to really be successful at it, you needed to do full time, really dedicated, and my kids were in sports and all the things. And when we moved to Texas, I was like, that's it. You guys are at age, I'm in it. And I'd taken all my classes as soon as we moved here, got my driver's license, which is what you need to get your real estate exam, took my test, passed it the first time, and hit the ground running, which is really hard to do. You don't know anyone, you don't know the areas.
Yeah.
And I think what made me successful is I'm very social. Immediately started going to every garage sale I could go to. I immediately started going to every new builder and getting to know the areas, really building a community. And just,
wow.
I love Texas. Texas is home. I could never go back. Texas is fantastic. It's been great for my family. Two of my boys still live here. One moved out for a job, but wants to come back.
Did you do your real estate training online, or did you sit in a class?
I did it online.
Okay.
You know, so, and I had taken all the classes for Texas. We knew we were moving out here. And so I did all my classes for Texas.
Wow. How long does it take for the Texas licensing?
It took me about 6 months to do all the classes.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me about 6 months.
It's like 180 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of hours, a lot of testing. And then when I moved here, I actually took the class in person to study for the actual licensing test.
Oh, okay.
And so
was that beneficial to you?
No. I mean, everybody else in the class was like, it's so hard. But I did all the flashcards and I felt really prepared. And by that point, we'd already bought 3 houses and I had already gone through the process of buying a home so many times. I was already aware of like, some of the definitions and the process. I felt like I was pretty prepared. So
Okay.
it didn't struggle as much as some people who were, out in the hallway crying, going, I'd already failed 3 times. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, you'll get this.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, that's an interesting move into real estate. So you had an interest in that for a long time. You just needed to wait for the right time in life to make the
For
move into
me, it
that.
was
So
all about timing. I'd
yeah,
always wanted to do it. I'd always had a sales background, but I
nice.
wasn't going to pursue it until I was really, really ready to dedicate myself.
Excellent. Cool. Well, as I mentioned earlier, our first connection was through the REMAX R4 convention a couple years ago. Since we both serve or work for REMAX, what do you like about REMAX as a company?
I really like the technology, and I
Hmm.
don't feel like everyone uses it the way that they should.
Hmm.
I actually mentor a couple of agents in my office, and then I do an accountability group also. I don't know
Okay.
why I feel like I have too much time on my hands. When I don't have time. I don't have time, but I'm like, oh yeah, I could do an accountability group. Sure, sure, sure. Um, that's what happens when you become an empty nester. You're like, I have so much time.
Yeah.
But there's so much good technology. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you doing this? Are you doing this? These are like the easy buttons. And
Hmm.
so for me, the technology has been great. Like the automation, the brand recognition is
Hmm.
fantastic. Remax. Never once have I gone, oh yeah, I work for Remax. And somebody go, who? Every time I work with another agent, I'm like, what
Right.
company do you work for? And they're like,
Yeah.
One Realty. And I'm like, where's your office? I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with
I
that.
was with another company when I first started in real estate, and people thought I worked for a painting company. So
Yeah, you
you
say
don't want to have those confusions when you're talking to
real,
people. Yeah.
immediately people know you're a professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I branded my whole car. Like never,
Yeah. I know. I got to see it when I was in Texas in
yes,
April. That was so
never
fun.
one. It's a photo op. It's a photo op. I love it. I'm not like, for me, I look at it like this. This is what pays my bills. This is what supports my family.
Yep.
I'm proud of it. Like I branded my whole car. It's wrapped. It's not a little wrapped, a lot. You see
Yeah.
it.
It is.
But people text
We need
me.
to get a photo of that uh, for the thumbnail on this video for YouTube. I think that would be nice. So
But here's the thing, if I were an NBA player, if I were, CEO of some company, I would be wearing my swag. I'd be wearing a
yeah,
jacket. Like I'm,
exactly.
head player of this team. Guess
Yeah.
what? I'm head player.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that's super cool. So, what do you do with your clients that stands out from the competition? Because I know there's thousands of real estate agents around the country. Why would somebody come and use Elizabeth Hardwick as their agent in Texas?
Honestly, I mean, there's always personality and we're
Hmm.
either aligned or we're not. But
Yep.
beyond that, I think really like my communication skills, the things that I do, it's like the little things because
Hmm.
we're all doing the same thing. We're all putting the house in the market. We're all taking professional photos. I mean, not all of us, but most of
Not
us
all of
are.
us on that one, but yes.
But I do the advertising. I spend the money on advertising for my listings. When I'm showing my clients, when I'm on the buyer side, I know a lot about houses. I know a lot about construction. I'm doing a lot of education so that I
Yep.
can walk through a house confidently and be like, oh, this is a gray conduit. It's electrical. This is a white. I know the things about how to build a house. I have my education done. I'm not
Yeah.
just sitting around part-time getting my nails done and then going, well, I guess I'll sort of be a realtor. I'm
Yeah.
in it. I'm in it.
Nice.
And that's
Excellent.
the difference. Like, and I give my clients that confidence
Mhm.
to be able to stand next to them and make them feel good.
Excellent. Well, what are some good success stories you can share with us too about how you've helped people in their real estate journey to really make some big strides in their lives too.
Are you talking about like mentoring, or are you talking about like helping my buyers?
Well, either. I mean, you could, yeah, stories for buyers or sellers that really benefited them, or even, yeah, other agents that you've helped along the way.
I'm always really happy for buyers. I'm
Mhm.
really happy for buyers because I think that I love listings. They're the fluff, right? They're just like, oh yeah, you want to sell your house, great. Go in there, I nailed it. Easy presentations. Um,
Mhm.
presentations are great. If I go in, trust me, I'm getting the listing. I pull up in my car is like, I'm listing. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Clearly I'm good at advertising when they see my
yeah.
car. But with buyers, um, I think for me, the ones who think they can't buy a house. So
Mm.
I had a friend who she's mid-40s, was like, I'll never be able to afford a house. And
Mhm.
she had a guy who was like, listen, if you can buy the house at this price, I'll sell it to you.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong, the house was not in great condition, but it was 100,000 under what the value was.
Wow.
100,000 was basically what
Wow.
he was giving her. And I
Yeah.
said, listen, he's giving you this money. I can get you a lender. We can do this. We can
Uh,
do this. We can get your payment where it needs to be because he's giving it the low price. We're going to call that part of your down payment. I was like, I've got a lender that can do it. We did inspection. The house was okay. It wasn't, bells and whistles, but it was okay.
right.
It was running. And she just cried. But she's been
Wow.
able to like have her family live with her. The house was way bigger than she needed, but she's had all of these people live with her. It's benefited
Nice.
her kids, her sister, her brother. All of these people have been able to live with her. She's lived there 5 years and now she's selling it. She's
Mhm.
getting $100,000,
Wow.
couple 100,000. And don't get me wrong, let me tell you, this is a person who never thought she'd own a home. She
Yeah.
may sell it, downgrade into something that's the right size, something that's newer.
Yeah.
Somebody who thought she'd never own a home.
That's an amazing story, Elizabeth.
She doesn't think
Yeah.
she makes a ton of money. She was the good person.
Yeah.
And
That
those
is
are
fantastic.
stories that like break my heart, where I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
you never thought you'd own a home? Like, of course you
Mhm.
own a home. That's,
Mhm.
that's like the American dream. That's like the American reality. Anyone
Yeah.
can own a home.
Yeah. That is so cool. Thanks for sharing that. So, what about some books or movies or I don't know, other inspiration things you find, quotes that help you in your business or that you can recommend?
I don't know. My favorite movie is Better Off Dead.
It's a good one.
Gabriel's like, I want my $2. I don't know why. That's my favorite movie. I always think I will negotiate for $2.
Uh,
Somebody wants that $2. I am that kid. I want my $2. I will chase somebody down.
yeah.
I did take a
That's hilarious.
negotiation class and I did win out of everyone in the class because I was willing to ask for like the dog. It was
Oh
like,
wow.
I didn't feel like the people selling the house wanted the dog. My client
Huh.
did. Um, I do like to negotiate. I do like
Huh.
to feel like when I'm on the buy side, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then when I'm on the seller side, I'm like, no, no to all of it. Fast. How dare
Yeah.
you?
Oh, that's hilarious.
um, I really do listen to a lot of like negotiation podcasts. And to me,
Uh-huh.
I always feel like, when somebody says it doesn't hurt to ask, I always feel like they're wrong. It does. It does hurt to ask. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
appropriately. Ask
Mhm.
appropriately because you want to come in with everybody winning.
Right.
Uh, it needs to be a fair ask. Somebody yesterday asked for all the AC decks to be repaired. And I said, oh, can you show me where the temperatures in the house are reading wrong? And
Yeah.
they sent over a report and everything in the house was reading the correct temperature. And I said, So then we're not replacing the AC ducts because it's reading the correct temperature. Then no
It's
matter how
working.
bad they look, they're working. We're not replacing.
Yeah.
There's no justification.
Right.
I was like, so no.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Good for you.
She
What
didn't
are
like
some of your favorite podcasts?
she didn't like my answer, but just said no more justification other than they were ugly and they're in the attic. So too bad for you.
Yep. Yep. So what are some of your favorite podcasts?
I'm gonna draw a blank. I don't
Are
know.
you?
I just play on YouTube. It's like I hit next and then next and then next. I don't know. I'm gonna draw a blank. I'm not gonna remember anything that I listen to.
Do you listen to like audiobooks and that too?
I don't listen to audiobooks. I like to rock out. I will say I have a sickness, I think, where I continuously think there's a song playing in my head. And so if you see me, you'll think that I have ear pods in because I'm doing this. So there's music playing, even when there's not. And I've had people go, "Oh, what are you listening to?" And I'll go, "The music in my head." I don't know. I usually just am hearing a mute song in my own head.
Okay.
Yeah, I rock out in the car.
So do you do any events for past clients and things like that too?
Yes, I do the funnest Christmas party.
Nice.
I don't know if your neighborhood has it, but ours has a Christmas tree lane, and we have. You don't have a Christmas tree lane?
I think there's one in Bellevue, not too far from us, but
yeah. So we have a Christmas tree lane, and it's super pretty, and they have horse-drawn carriages. And I rent out all the horse-drawn carriages, and I get hot chocolate for all my clients.
Wow,
Here's the
nice.
thing. The traffic is horrible, but the horse-drawn carriages, literally, traffic is here, and the horse-drawn carriages just go around. And you're like, VIP, VIP. I'm sorry. Oh, is there traffic? Not for us, because we're horse-drawn carriages. And everyone in their cars is like taking pictures and videos, and you're like, I'm sorry, we're important. You didn't rent a carriage.
That's hilarious.
That's horrible for you. It is the coolest event, and we have blankets and all my clients, and it's the best way to look at the Christmas tree lights. And this neighborhood does it out. I mean, it's spectacular, but the only way to look at them is on the carriage rides. And so I'm like, bring your friends. I don't limit it to just my clients. I'm like, I bring not just clients, anyone that I'm like associated with, anyone who's like refers anyone to me, even if they're not my client. I'm like, they're never gonna move. But you know what they'll do? They will remember I throw a great party.
Yeah.
And they will remember that their friends wanted to be invited. So it's a really great event. And then I'll do, if they leave me a Google review, poof, they get entered in to win a gift card. It's a great event.
What kind of gift card?
Cash. Obviously, it's Christmas. They need money for Christmas shopping.
Nice.
Who doesn't want a gift card for cash at Christmas? And then last summer, I also did a snow cone event. We've got a big splash pad park. We did a whole day of like snow cones. That's a huge hit. It was like right before school started, and we were like, you know what? Let's hit it.
That's a fun thing to do.
Snow cones. Yeah.
I remember the Texas summers would get pretty hot, so I'm sure that's a big thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also done movie nights. Those are always fun. Do a good family movie. Just depends on what's available.
Okay, nice. Cool. Well, where can people go to find you? Now, I know driving around, your car does a lot of stuff. It's easy. But for people out in my way or elsewhere around the country, like, do you have a YouTube channel or, your social media pages and things like that? If you can share that.
Yeah, Facebook is great. I also have my Remax website. It's elizabethhardwick.remax.com. That's a great way. You'll see all my listings, get to know my neighborhoods, things like that. that's a great way. My Facebook is pretty active. I do share some pretty funny stories about my life and some of my family and listings. So yeah, I definitely have no filter. I'm always telling it like it is. And I share stories of like listings that I go to that are really dumpy. I mean, I have a full gamut of really dumpy listings to really luxury. So it's funny to go on showings with me.
Fun. What about email and phone number too?
It's Elizabeth TX is in Texas realtor at gmail.com. And my phone number is 469-850-2170.
Cool. And do you have any publications that you're into?
I read like the Texas Realtor magazine. It really keeps me up to date. And like Texas does a good job of like changing their policies a lot.
Uh-huh.
I don't appreciate it, but I mean, you got to stay up on Texas real estate. We are our own, country over here.
Uh-huh. Excellent. Well, thank you, Elizabeth, so much for joining me today. If there's anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we go, feel free to jump in on that.
No, just water your foundations. It's like
you have to do that in Texas. Yes.
water your foundations and check your roof, hail damage.
Yeah. We don't have those issues in Western Washington, at least, but so.
Yeah.
You guys have just been having horrible weather lately in Texas, though, haven't you?
Oh, the weather's been horrible. The weather's been horrible. If the weather were better, though, everyone would live here.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
And
only.
you don't happen to be a ice hockey fan, are you?
I am a Dallas Stars fan.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, I'm sorry that your Stars were beaten by my Oilers, but
No.
I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup starting this Saturday, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. it was a little rough around here. I know everyone's sitting around going, now what do we do? Nope. What do we do now?
Yeah. My parents are a little torn since they live in Dallas and, my mom is from Edmonton. Who do you cheer for now, right? Like, so, yeah, but cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you, and I'll probably get this out this week in my newsletter. So it's been a fun time meeting with you. And if you guys are planning a trip down to Texas, planning to move, you need to get in touch with Elizabeth and at least give her a chance to interview for the position as your agent. So thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Cool.